Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Writers Mindscape.
Mindscape.
Will you stop with that joke? It's not going to catch on.
Make it a thing.
It's not going to happen. Anyway, I'm Tim.
What's up? I'm Adam.
Today we are continuing our new series of cultures and people. Today we'll be wrapping up the people. I just realized we never gave a hint at what we'll be talking about today in our last one. We said we were going to.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
whatever.
Oh well, it happens.
It's what we do.
Yeah. Foreshadow?
Never.
We wouldn't do that. Why would you want to do that? We never said you should do that.
No, not at all.
Never.
Anyway, yeah, we're talking about attributes and special skills for your people.
Yes. So we broke down last week talking about the difference between races and species, as well as the look of your people based on where they locate in your world.
Right.
Today we're going to go into a more physical and even magical setup for your people.
Exactly.
So today we're going to start off with your attributes and what for that. So let's just, Adam, tell me, what is an attribute to you?
For me, it's attributes are both a physical and psychological.
Okay.
So we'll just say that you have a race of people in your world.
Yes.
Who are a very military background.
Yes.
Like, they depend on war. They always build warriors.
I could say so many things right now.
Yeah, I know.
I'm holding it back.
Their physical attributes they'll usually have more body mass.
Yep.
You know, they are physically larger than others. But at the same time, they have a psychological attribute of being able to deal with the hellish landscape that war is.
Yes.
They're just like, this is what we do. People die, whatever.
To me, the attributes are those special skill points in every RPG game. Do you want to have your character be good at magic or fighting?
Yeah.
Sneaking. Basically, look at any Elder Scrolls game, and those things that you're trying to level up on. Those are the attributes.
Look at your D&D character sheet.
Basically, that is an attribute.
You know, maybe you have a group of people who, due to the environment that they live in, they have a natural ability against poisons.
Yes.
Because most of the food that they have in there are actually poisonous to other people.
Yep. So it can also be like there's a physical element, like different things like being immune to some poisons versus being able to sneak around.
Yes.
Again, that will come to based on your situation of the people over thousands of years, hundreds of years.
Something like that.
Yeah. So as well, but these are the attributes. You're gonna have strong attributes. You're gonna have weak attributes.
Right.
One thing I do want to say,
humans are squishy.
Yes, we
no
are.
matter how you build them. In your fantasy world, humans are always the squishy ones.
Yes.
And they're the most average at everything.
Yes, most likely. That's the thing I want to talk about, though.
Yes.
We gotta get away. I saw a thing that you have to read. I was starting to say something.
The tropes.
The tropes.
The attributes that are within the worlds of
like Tolkien,
fantasy.
D&D. And by mean like having your dwarves being able to make unbelievable godlike weapons that no one can come close to touching.
Or your elves are creating it, or your goblins are creating it.
Yeah, or whatever there is. Your elves are so good at war and fighting because they've been around for thousands of years. So they're
the most peaceful group too.
Yeah, they're the most peaceful too. But they are also the deadliest of warriors.
Oh yes.
No one can dare touch their level without magical intervention.
Sorry.
So, these are the things I understand.
These are tropes that you can use.
Yes, but making them so that no other class, race, species, whatever you want to go with, can't touch them, needs to die.
Like, I understand that maybe elves have a preternatural or supernatural strength.
Yes.
You're like, wow, you guys are really thin, but you lifted a lot of weight there. Like that. Like, one of our big guys, for humans, one of our biggest guys is trying to pick up that axe, and you one-handed it?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, yes, our body naturally has a magic that our race, that we can pick up heavier items than you.
And not have the bulk
you
need.
It's like, okay, well, that makes sense.
But the thing is, so that's the thing. Is like when you're dealing with anything like from crafting to fighting, architecture.
Yes.
And it's all these different things having that people can never. One race is always superior over the other races in this one area. Needs to die, because when you have more variety in it,
yes,
you can have those things where maybe you had these classes that could do that specifically, but then all of a sudden the other ones are catching up and they don't like it. Now you have conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
People, they came to us, and now we're losing profits because other people have learned.
Right. I mean, you look at, in our world right now.
Yeah.
Talking about making weapons. Americans or Western civilization, we've learned how to make the weapons of pretty much every other group.
Yep.
Will it be the same quality? Maybe. Maybe it'll be better quality.
Or it'll suck because we wanted to make it as cheap as possible.
Exactly. Those are, you learn from others.
Yep.
As your species and races interact with each other, they will learn things.
Yeah, so one of the things I would recommend to figure out to get around this is to have more of like what's the word?
I don't know.
A guild.
Okay.
That teaches this. Here's the thing: you don't have to have one guild. You can have rival guilds.
Oh yeah.
That way you can build those conflicts and stuff for there, instead of having a specific race.
Yeah, you have the Thieves Guild of the West and the Thieves Guild of the North.
Now I'm also not about to contradict everything I just said there.
Oh, for crying out loud! Okay, what now?
Now, if your period of time where your story is taking place is in a time where this actually would make sense.
Okay.
Then that's okay. Again,
and then you have a traveling group that you're learning about the world through.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. When you have a specific... If it's far in the early history of the world of these races, where you're dealing with certain races are more segregated.
Yeah, they're closed off from others.
But they're able to focus on craft of architecture and all that. Well, other races can't because they're in a more volatile and war area. That would make sense.
Yeah,
to have that.
Your very peaceful nation will definitely tend more towards the arts and architecture and the arts in general. And you would be like, oh wow, the elves of this world that have been segregated themselves.
Yep.
Look at the work that they do.
Yes.
While you look over at the goblins who are constantly at war, and you're like, wow, you guys live in huts, and they're like, yeah, because everything else gets burned to the ground.
And that's the thing. When I say segregated, I'm not talking about because they purposely segregated themselves. Just because where they live, they're not at war all the time.
Yeah.
For that, but that's the thing. That's okay, but don't make it so good that no matter how much time goes by, they'll never be able to touch their skill. Because one of the things complacency happens over time.
Yeah.
And if you don't have new ideas to challenge, so this is where story and time placing of your story will determine this as well.
Right. I mean, you could have an alien, maybe it's set way in the future. You could have an alien species that you've never had contact with, that when you land there, you're like, wow, you guys are really advanced. And they're like, well, yeah, we haven't had to be at war for 1,000 years, so we have planetary peace, and this is what we've created.
Yep.
And you're like, wow, cool. Well, where are your weapons at?
Yeah.
Because we have been creating those.
Yeah.
Our quality of life sucks, but we want yours.
Yes. So that just basically focuses on one of the attributes.
Yes.
Let's cross over into now
special skills can go on top of your attributes.
Yes. So what is a special skill? Well, skill usually refers action. Maybe some people would say fighting, which if you have an enhanced, beyond normal, believable attainment of this, then yes.
Okay.
Let's look at it this way. Elves. Immortality would be a special skill.
Yes, it would.
Because a mortal can't really attain immortality unless you provide that through the story, and it is attainable.
Maybe it's their ability to make magical weapons.
Yes. Other things.
Artifacts.
Another good example is this. Mutants from X-Men in the Marvel Universe.
Special skills.
That is a special skill because...
their attribute is their X gene.
Yep.
What it does with them is the special skill.
Which is a magic system. Basically, think of... We already talked about magic in great detail. This would be taking magic and interbreeding it specifically into a specific person.
Yeah, it's part of their DNA now.
Yes, it's not like, or if you want to take superheroes, you may be able to attain a special skill later on through some magical intervention.
Or training.
Training, but it will become a skill, and that's what we're talking about here.
Yes.
So if you want all your elves to have enhanced sight beyond believable things, that is now a special skill.
That's part of their skills.
Now, don't get me wrong, you can have them have a race, not just elves, that have really good sight, binocular vision.
Yeah.
It technically is possible to have that without magic.
Right.
But now if you want them to be able to say, let's see, 20 to 30 miles out, now we're getting into...
Now you're doing farsight, and that's part of magic.
That's magic. So it's really you gotta really kind of break this down.
Yeah.
And here's one of the cool things about this.
Or it can be technology. You have optical stuff going on.
Now here's the cool thing about this.
Yes.
You can determine which one this is. But here's the problem, though. You may determine it, but there is some, as in we have tropes, and what's the term? Not just tropes.
What?
Not cliche. I'm trying to think of the
there's cliches.
But not that's not what I'm thinking. Expectations of certain things.
Oh, okay.
Of how these certain things will work. So if you want to go and you're like, I'm going to reinvent this entire thing and break down the tropes and all that, go for it.
Nuts.
Here's the problem. People are going to have expectations. If you don't do this extremely well, they're going to say this sucks and give up.
Right.
So you're taking a risk here.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Now, you can flip some cliches on its head.
Oh,
I feel like, hey, the elves, because they've been living 1,000 years... I like how we keep going back to just fantasy.
Because it's easier to... Again, expectation, easy recommendation.
Maybe your elves don't create great weapons because they've had 1,000 years of being in peace. Why would they create better weapons? They probably have spent 500 years going, why do we have a better knife?
Yeah.
I like this poem.
Yeah. Oh, here's better yet. Maybe because your elves lived for 1,000 years, they've realized that humans are just the abomination of scum.
Yeah.
Because they're always going to, no matter how good they become eventually, something's going to change where they'll try to rule everything.
Yes.
And they've decided that...
Well, they have tiny lifespans.
They're just going to... They're not going to wipe them all out.
No.
But they're better off in smaller numbers than larger numbers.
Yes.
Not just humans, but other races and species.
I mean, you could have that where elves see themselves as the rulers of the world.
Yes.
That's flipping it on the head of them being the peaceful nation, typically.
There's a series called the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas.
Okay.
Great series. The final book comes out in October.
Oh, cool.
Great book series. There's a lot of people who don't like it for reasons. I understand those reasons. I've listened to a lot of reviews. But anyway, there's an immortal class out there called the Fae. That they will live forever. They can be killed, but they will live forever. If they won't die naturally.
Oh, okay.
And when a Fae enters the battlefield that's been around for hundreds of thousands, even thousands of years. Yeah, you don't want to deal with them because they're that good.
Because through that time, they've amassed skills that they're better at now because of.
They're just so good that you basically have to throw hundreds, if not thousands of people at one person just to hope of taking them down if you don't have someone who can counterbalance them with magic or something like that. And here's the other thing. They have magic too. So
yeah, okay.
So as well. So that's kind of a cool idea. These are not necessarily peaceful beings. They are isolated, but when they're sent out to do missions, they're not friendly. They're not like, oh, how nice to meet you. No, get the fuck out of my way, or I will end you. You know who I am, right? You see the ears, right?
Yeah.
And she's made it very clear. These are not elves. They do have more pointy ears for the more Fae-like characters, but they're not elves. And then she's made it very clear they're not elves.
These are not elves,
which is cool.
Yeah,
I think this is her take on elves in a different way, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
But yeah, so you can flip these tropes to do that and have fun with it. But again, going back to special skills, just find what a special skill is for you, and if you want, and do it. Do it well. Make sure you follow through on it. A good example of this, another example of this would be from Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series.
Oh, yes, you keep going back there.
I love Brandon Sanderson, if you haven't realized that. But in the Mistborn series, special skills, it's a magic system, but specifically more specific skills is for metallurgy, I'm going to call it, because that's what he calls it in the second series in the world.
Yeah.
Allomancy is also what it's called. But
okay.
Metallurgy is another term. But you take, depending on what you fall on there, if you're in the original series, if you're a Mistborn, you have all the abilities of all the metals.
Okay.
No matter, even if you don't know all the metals exist, because they don't at that point. You put that metal into your system, you can burn it, you'll have a specific skill, a special power that you can do.
Okay.
Whereas then, if you're I cannot think of the term. A misting, that's it.
A misting.
A misting, you have one, and it depends on what metal you'll fall into this thing. And how much metal you have, you need a certain amount of metal to do it, but you could be very tough with this. You could be really skilled, because now you're going into how accurate you are, and you've trained in this.
Yes.
So the skill has efficiency as well. That's why it's called a skill.
Okay.
That's why we're going to talk with about mutants and all that. How efficient their power is. That's
how skilled they are with it.
That, and also because you could be a very low-level mutant. You could be not even really that powerful, but how well you can think outside the box to use it.
Oh yeah.
Or the writer can think out how outside the box to use it.
Exactly.
Shows you how interesting it is, and that's one thing Brandon Sanderson has done with his Mistborn is, especially in the second series, he limited it. The Mistborns don't exist anymore.
Oh wow.
So you have to come up with creativity with your abilities, which is really cool.
That's cool.
One of the main characters has telekinetic power, but he doesn't have. He can't push and pull. He can push. So he has to come up with ways of getting out of circumstances that don't allow him to pull on things. A limitation on magic goes back to that, but also skill, which is really cool. So
that's cool.
Again, thinking on that.
Yeah.
Adam, anything else you want to add to this?
Yes. Always remember that your skills are the more refined version of attributes.
Yes. Very true. Attributes come down to everyone can have them, but they can be increased.
Yes.
With practice, but your special skills are going to be in a class only to that people.
Right.
Whether it's genetic or it's a group of people who you get it by joining the guild, because they go a ritual
through teaching
through a ritual that gives you the special power to do it.
Right.
Again, that still becomes a skill that you can refine.
All right.
All right. So Adam, before we sign off,
yes,
just to make this so much easier for us,
what
when we're talking about race and species and all that, I just say we're going to refer to as anything non-human will be a separate race.
Okay.
That's what most people know them as.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I refer to it right now.
Yeah, so just because technically, it's species, and I don't want to keep saying species or race or class.
We'll just say race.
We're going to refer to it as race from now on. So when we talk about race, we're going to go with the classical definition.
Yes.
That are not human. If there are human subspecies, subclass, like maybe elves and humans, and all that, we'll still refer to it. Depending on how big it is, we'll figure out at that time. But we'll go as race for now.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate you listening to all of our podcasts here at the 01 Podcast Group.
Yes, I do.
If you made it to the end of this podcast group, you're clearly liking what you're hearing. Please hit that thumbs up. Give us that
ding.
If you have want to give us a comment, we'd appreciate that. Tell us your thoughts on this stuff.
Yes, definitely. I want to hear comments.
I definitely want to hear comments on this. And be sure to tell us that down in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe.
Yes.
Hit the bell.
Yes.
And become one of us. Wait, is that what we're doing? Or is it join, support, Writers Mindscape? No. That's
no. It's still kind of one of us.
No.
I mean, when eventually I change the name to that other thing, it'll be Get That. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you definitely become one of us.
Join the club. No, that's my thing. Can't do that.
No.
It would fit better on this one than in the other podcast we have. But anyway, yes, join the notification squad and become one of us.
Yes.
The question is, what is one of us?
We don't even know. Don't. Shh.
Oh,
Shh.
You
That's
can't.
a secret.
The secret. Only the top members get to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, when do I get to find that out?
Maybe next week. I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
One of these days I'll let you in.
Okay. But also, join notifications, and hope you're enjoying this series on world building. We are,
And
though I've not been spending any time developing my side of the series
I know
yet.
I'm doing a good job of developing my side.
Which is actually pretty good because you're basically determining everything.
Yeah,
for me.
exactly.
So, but anyway, other than that, I hope you guys have a great writing week.
Yes.
Adam, anything you'd like to add to sign off?
Always keep writing.
Yes, keep writing, and we'll see you. You won't see us, but we'll see you in our next podcast. Bye.